Severance has raised a lot of mysteries, leaving audiences more and more confused as the series went on. Use this as your comprehensive guide to all the mysteries that need to be solved in Season 2. I'll start with a mystery we don't talk about enough. What Severance is even about? If you have spare time to watch a show and are looking for one of the most mind-bending psychological deep dives in recent television history, then this is definitely the show you need in your life. It's really a one-of-a-kind viewing experience that will stun you with its blend of intellectual writing and fantastic performances, and one of the best edge-of-your-seat releases you might just come to love. Ben Stiller's brain-teasing suspense thriller is one of the best edge-of-your-seat releases you may have missed. Severance, set in the near future, uncovers the story of 4 employees of Lumen, a massive and shady organization, where they spend their days working in Lumen's MDR or Microdata Refinement Division. You can't tell me that doesn't sound shady right off the bat. So they spend their days in cramped cubicles, staring at a computer screen filled with rows and rows of data, and they're assigned random numbers to insert into files. It's all quite unpredictable, and each of the 4 employees that we're following have their own theories about the grander scheme they're actually a part of. When first coming into work here, all employees need to go through a severance operation that separates their egos, after which they have no sense of themselves or the outside world while at work, and when they leave, they have no idea what they do for a living. Imagine that being an actual requirement for workplaces. Severance is brought to audiences through Mark, an employee who comes to lead his fellow desk jockeys, notably foul-mouthed Dylan and rebel rookie Helly, all on a daring attempt to all leave in one piece, and learning to navigate their workplace with its dark secrets. So if you haven't already binged this show, but plan on it, beware of the incoming spoilers, because we're about to try and uncover some secrets. With a quick recap of Season 1, in the beginning, Severance mostly follows Adam Scott's character, a widower who applied to Lumen to be severed. In principle, there is no better way to forget you're in grief than to fully forget your late spouse. But Mark's technique has unforeseen consequences. How did he not see that coming? He's then rid himself of an identity that the majority of us cling to. He's just going through the motions of life, not experiencing or accomplishing much of anything. In Severance, the protagonists come to terms with their innies, the ego that only knows life on Lumen, and the outies, which is their ego that only understands life outside of Lumen, while their other self goes home and lives in ignorance of their jobs. It's a new, crazy level of separation. According to Erickson, this is how Lumen can squeeze the most out of its workers. That's a clever punt, but this premise hit a chord with many of us. That is probably the reason it got rebooted for a second season, but it didn't leave off without one of the biggest cliffhangers ever, and that came with many things that can only be explained with a second season. In the season finale, Mark, Helly, and Irving race to make the most of their limited time being activated outside of the severed floor. Each of the innies is confronted with shocking revelations about their real life. However, Milchick enters the security room and prevents Dylan from activating the Severance chip protocol switches, ending the innies' overtime mission. The ending also features James Egan, who discloses Lumen's long-term objectives to his daughter Helly, and now he plans to make everyone in the world into Kier's offspring. The future of the innies is a pivotal point to the Severance Season 1 ending cliffhanger. Severance has already demonstrated how innies who break the rules are punished in the break room. However, Mark, Helly, Irving, and Dylan's rebellious behavior in the finale will almost probably receive harsher punishments, and that will prove whether the group has ventured into uncharted territory, or whether Lumen had already planned for such defiance. Whatever Lumen decides to do with the innies will undoubtedly reveal even more nasty aspects of the organization. Beehive, Branch Transfer, Clean State, Elephant, Freeze Frame, Glasgow, Goldfish, Lullaby, Open House, and Overtime. These are among some of the protocols set up in the Severance chip. And in Season 2, any of these regulations could be used to punish the innies in some way. The Marco Data Refinement Department innies could be reassigned to the Severed Floor departments, have their memories of the incident wiped, or even fully frozen in suspended animation and held downstairs based on the names of these protocols alone. But apart from just the severance chips, there were a lot more questions that left all of us scratching our heads, such as what it really is that MDR is doing with the numbers on their computers. While Mark thinks that they're being used to blow up eels so that we humans can populate the sea, and Irv believes they're simply cutting swear words out of movies, but by the end of the day, we don't really know what's behind this operation, and we might not know for a while. But then there's also the question of what does the O&D team really do? Initially, MDR, along with the rest of us, were led to believe that O&D was a two-person team, made up by Bert and Felicia, and everyone assumed they were only responsible for art, handbook totes, workplace style, and any other optical and design-related concerns. However, in episode 4, Irv discovered that the squad consists of 7 people. It was eventually uncovered that they spend their days making various objects ranging from hatchets to watering cans, for reasons no one really seems to know yet. But some people think that it has something to do with farming because of the baby goats that came up out of nowhere. Also, what was the deal with that? Who knows? The only guess that Bert has is that they're preparing supplies for the executive wing upstairs. There are also so many other questions, like what's up with the Lumen board and the waffle party, and if Miss Casey is still alive? But again, that's up to Season 2 to answer. Or not, because there's only so much we know about Season 2 so far. The show has indicated, if not directly confirmed, that the Severance program is not completely foolproof. In actuality, lines of awareness blurring or overlapping may happen, not only through the overtime contingency, but also through characters recalling fragments from their past. So it's possible that the next season could go deeper into the personal lives of these troubled characters, at least through glimpses of Audi consciousness. Of course, there is still plenty of ground to cover in Lumen's offices and divisions. This was proven when we first discovered the intriguing goat-feeding chamber. Season 2 will almost certainly explore new territory regarding these tangents of the story, if it's going to be just as, or even more successful than this season was. But again, this is all just speculation, because in true Severance fashion, we've been left in the dark when it comes to details about the future tangent of the TV show. However, Erickson did say in a Variety interview that Mark's importance will be explored further in Season 2. Adam Scott also suggested that the new season will be especially exciting and engaging for Mark, who has learned more about Lumen's evil plans. Ben Irving also continued by adding that they've brought Mark and Irving and Helly to the surface, and he thinks those are topics that people will be interested in. So finding that balance will be very important, and I'm sure these are all things we can't wait to see pan out. But for now, these are all the biggest unanswered questions from Severance Season 1. See you in the next video.